So in front of me, I have the best case knife that I've gotten in quite some time, meaning I don't have to fix anything. I don't have to send it back. There's really no issues with the knife, apart from the one blade being a little bit off center, which is causing a little bit of blade rub, but I'll take it. That's not a huge deal. Um, Before I get started here, some people do ask me, if you have such a bad experience with case knives, why do you keep buying them? And the truth of the matter is, well, number one, I make videos on pocket knives, and Case is one of the largest, probably the largest American manufacturer of traditional style pocket knives. Meaning, you can find these at your Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's. You can find them at your what's that called? Tractor Supply. You can find them at your Ace Hardware. Sometimes they even have them at like Home Depot and Lowe's and stuff. So Case is like widely available, easy to get, not super duper expensive, and they're American made. So I do like to do videos on them, just because it's a knife that's really easy to get for somebody. Whereas something like a Great Eastern Cutlery knife, which I think is like the absolute best factory produced pocket knife that you can buy, they're expensive and they're really hard to get. Then you have some stuff that's made over in Europe, which is also really good, but the average person might have trouble getting their hands on a knife like that as well. If you don't know where to go, if you don't shop online or anything, you have trouble getting knives like that from, Germany or the UK or whatever. So I like to still do videos on case knives. Occasionally I get ones that are absolutely horrible. Usually the case knife has a couple little things that are wrong with it, but it's usable and fixable and everything. This knife, honestly, is pretty good. It's just about perfect. This is what is it? The 47? This is a 47 Stockman, which is like one of the 3 or 4 different kinds of quote unquote medium Stockmans that they have. I never had a 47 before, mainly because they didn't really offer them in carbon steel. But let me show this box here. This is carbon steel, and it is a Sheppard Hills Cutlery exclusive. That being said, it's just in the yellow synthetic. So, kind of boring. I wish they had it in bone, like a jig bone or even a smooth bone. That'd be cool. But just a boring old yellow synthetic. I wanted one anyway because I'd never had a 47. I don't have a 47. And it looks to be about the perfect sized Stockman, somewhere in between the large and the medium Stockman. It's just about the same size as the Baron Son Stockman, which is, one of my favorite Stockmans. Not this particular one, but, in general, that like frame is one of my favorite Stockman frames because it's like the perfect size for a Stockman knife, in my opinion. Now, that being said, I really appreciate a large Stockman. Like Case's large Stockman is really cool. But, I have a couple of them already. One of them's not the best, and my jig bone one is, pretty good. But I wanted to try something new, and this is about the perfect size for a Stockman in my mind. So that being said, the 47 has 3 back springs, meaning you don't really have to bend any of the blades out of the way. I was hoping that would prevent some of the issues that I've had with case knives in the past. And you can see here, if I can show it. I'm not going to show it because there's a lot of glare, but there's no really big gaps or anything. One thing that I will say that I have noticed is this cover here. Coming up a little bit right there, you can see. So that's coming up a little bit on that side and this side too. So I don't know if it's not pinned down well enough or if it's too big or something. But the only good thing about the synthetic is it probably won't crack or anything because of that. But yeah, so I mean the synthetic handles on this are not the best finished. There's a little piece of the material there sticking up. I just moved it away with my fingernail, so not a big deal. Standard case shield, which is probably my favorite case shield. You don't have to get super fancy with them or anything. But like I said, this knife has 3 back springs, which I was hoping would completely avoid blade rub. But this clip blade is a little bit off to that side, which means it's rubbing the sheep's foot blade just a little bit. It's not rubbing like massively or anything. I don't even know. So I'm going to just show it on the, you can kind of see it there. If I get it at the right, yeah, right there. So it is rubbing the sheep's foot a little bit. Not a huge deal. Blade rub is kind of not one of those things that I get super bent out of shape about. Some people do. Oh, I just noticed this now too. So the back spring for the sheep's foot sits a little proud out of the handle there, or out of the frame there. Again, not something that I really care about, but you know, some people really do care about stuff like that. I just want the knife to be made well enough that it is, you know, a usable knife. The spade blade on this is an interesting shape, kind of, and it's angled down. I feel like more than normal, but maybe not. I don't have. Where's my other case medium Stockman? Maybe I took it upstairs. I don't know. It was sitting here forever. But yeah, I feel like this spade blade's a little bit of a different shape than the typical case spade blade. What did I call it? Did I call it the sheep's foot? I don't know. But I feel like the spade blade's a little different. And you can see there, CS for carbon steel. This knife is in fact in carbon steel. I will deal with the synthetic handles to have the carbon steel. Is it my favorite? No, I would have wished they would have done it in like their gray pocket worn bone, or the just the typical amber peach seed jig bone. I would have preferred either of those, but I'll deal with the yellow synthetic. And this knife is pretty well made for a case knife. I think this was round about $60, something like that. So that's not bad either. Case knife prices have been creeping up too, getting up there into like the $80 range for a regular case knife, which is getting to be pretty expensive. But of course, that's because of the economy and everything else going up in price, which causes everything else to go up in price. You guys know how that works. But yeah, so really good knife. Really happy with it. Glad I ordered one because I've wanted a 47 for a little while. And I wanted one in carbon steel, which unfortunately Case doesn't make as part of their standard run. Okay, so the main clip blade here is just under 3 inches. It's like 2 7/8, something like that, with a cutting edge of around 2.5. So, not a huge main blade, but a pretty good sized one. And I really like the shape on the blade here, I have to say. It's like a pretty substantial clip blade. This one doesn't have the tip super rounded off, which is nice. It's rounded off a little bit. Go on, camera. It's rounded off a little bit, but it's still pokey enough that it's pointy and everything. So I like that. But I really like the shape of this clip blade, I have to say. Case is still doing their laser etch blade tang stamp, whatever. They're still doing that. I don't think they're going to stop doing that. I forget why they said they switched to doing it. Something about it being clearer or something, which is a silly reason to do it. If you're switching over to the laser etch instead of a stamp, I'm just assuming it's to cut costs, and that's fine. But I wish that it was, still stamped and everything. But these aren't anymore. Case knives are no longer stamped, which is a little bit disappointing. Wish they would still stamp the tang stamp in them. But yeah, the action on all 3 of these blades is really good, which is honestly a little rare on a Stockman. Usually, if you get, the blades, the sheep's foot and like the clip blade have a good action. Usually the spade blade has a lazy action. I can kind of demonstrate that here with one of these Berenson Stockmans probably. So like, your clip blade, pretty good action. Sheep's foot, I think the sheep's foot on this one has bad action actually. Oh, it snapped open. Does it close okay? Okay. So the spade blade on this one must have the bad action. Snaps open okay, and yeah, lazy close. So that's not as bad as I remembered it being. But usually on a Stockman, that's like not abnormal for one of the three blades to be kind of, lazy closing or have a light snap open or something. For the most part, not a huge deal. Your pocket knife is to cut things. You're not supposed to do anything prying or stabbing or anything. So the back spring is really just meant to hold the blade shut. It's really what it's there for. But that being said, I think all of us do appreciate a nice snap open, just because it makes the knife feel, like it's worth the money you paid for it and everything. Whereas if you have a knife that, is really lazy on close, it's kind of annoying because you have to follow the blade almost the whole way down into the handle. If I'm being really nitpicky, the clip blade here is just a teensy bit proud. You can kind of catch my finger skin on it a little bit. But it's not something I'm super worried about. But I figure I'd point that out. Logan Stout wouldn't like that over at Knife Thoughts. I'm not that worried about it. It's not going to cut me or anything, so I'm not worried about it. But it is a little bit proud. Which it probably shouldn't be, but whatever. Yeah, to be honest, like if I got a knife like this from Great Eastern Cutlery, I'd be maybe slightly disappointed, but I mean, it's done really well. And like I said, I think these are about $60, $65, something like that, which is a pretty good price these days for a case knife. And this one is really well done. So good job, Case. I want to see more of this. I want to see more of you guys producing well-made knives again, because I'm probably not going to stop buying Case. My buying of Case has slowed down a little bit, just because I've been buying some other brands and stuff, but I still like to buy from Case because after all, they are a Pennsylvania company. I live in Pennsylvania. I've lived my entire life in Pennsylvania. I have visited the Case and Zippo Museum, which is cool. If you've never been, you live anywhere near Bradford, Pennsylvania, go check out the Zippo Case Museum. It's cool. Especially if you like Zippos as well as pocket knives like I do. But I try to support them when I can, but I'm going to call out a bad knife when they make a bad knife. And like I said, I do get comments about, well, why do you buy case knives and everything? And, I partially buy case knives to do videos on them to show you guys what you can find at your local Tractor Supply, Cabela's, Bass Pro Shop, Ace Hardware, all the case dealers that just have case knives on the shelf that you can go in and buy one. Show you guys what you can get, down the street in your town. Because some of us or some people don't order knives online. For a long time, I didn't have a checking account, so I didn't order knives online. I had to go and buy them in person or buy them off Amazon, which I would do sometimes. But, once I got a checking account, everything that was over, and I was spending hundreds of dollars on Great Eastern Cutlery knives and everything. I should have stayed away from having a checking account. But now being almost 30, I kind of need one. Whereas back then I was still living with mom and everything, and I didn't really need a checking account for anything. But yeah, Case 47 Stockman, really pleased with this one. Maybe Case at some point will bring out a 47 in some jig bone handles and carbon steel. I can hope anyway. I'm sure they've done it in the past. They're just not currently doing it. This will probably just stay yellow, although there is a possibility that I could dye it or do some like silly scrimshaw stuff on it or something. I don't know yet, but this is the knife as it is right now, and I'm really happy with it for the money that I paid for it. And like I said, I think this is probably worth $60, $65. I'm happy with my purchase here. So if you guys want to pick up one of these 47 Stockmans in yellow synthetic with carbon steel blades, you got to go over to Sheppard Hills Cutlery, and they have them over there. So, yeah, check that out. I'm going to probably carry this knife tomorrow. But yeah, overall, happy with it. This is going to be the video on the Case 47 Stockman. that's all for now. Hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.